Hey there Scapers, my name is Zenavilius and today I'm going to be bringing you a review and analysis video of the Onslaught ability. Now this has been buffed. It has been buffed for a while now. I think it was buffed the day Defenders came out back in early December. But I just got around to making a review of it, and right now it is very powerful. I have a feeling they're probably going to tone it down a bit in the future, but right now it's very, very powerful, and I'm going to be analysing it to its fullest extent. So, what is it? That's the first thing I'm going to be addressing, and then damage variation, maximum damage analysis with all the maximum boosts, what works with it and what doesn't, accuracy pointers, and then the boss reviews. This time I've got 6 instead of 3. So I've got Har-Aken next, Araxxi, Vorago and Yakamaru. So that should be quite fun, guys. I hope you enjoy it, and let's get right into it. First of all, how do you get it? You get it from raids. If you have 15k techie, you can buy it directly from the armor smiths and just next to the bank in Mascap. There you go. Or you can buy it for, I believe, 30 something mil. Not sure exactly how much. I know it's dropped since the hype. So right now it's probably something like 30 to 35 mil, possibly even less as time goes on. But basically, yeah, that's how you buy it, and it is an ultimate ability. It's an ultimate ability, and the description, as always with these things, is wrong. The only thing that's probably right about it is the fact that you need 90 constitution, and you need a weapon, and you need 100% adrenaline, and you need and it has a 2-minute cooldown time. That's the only thing that is correct about it. So don't ignore the description they give of it, and this is my description. So the first hit does between 50 to 150% ability damage. Every subsequent hit does 11 to 33% more damage, and each hit drains 25% of your adrenaline. So once your adrenaline is less than 25%, each hit that you do after that will damage you for 25% of whatever the hit was, and after the 10th hit that you do, you'll take an extra 1k damage for each additional hit on top of the 10th hit that you do. So that is a description of it. Now let's see what it actually can do. Among the many things that do work with this, actually there aren't that many. Most things don't work with this ability. Most things cancel this ability, but one of the things that doesn't is Camelot. Enhanced Excalibur. You can use it at any point. It doesn't have to be just before. You can use it even while you're doing Onslaught. And here you can see it's just drained 25% of my adrenaline 4 times, and then it starts eating up my HP. And after the 10th hit, you will see somewhere here that, oh yeah, 1.8k, there you go. It starts hitting 1k more per hit. So that works as you expect, and the P-neck also saves you, but you can't rely on it because sometimes the ability can kill you before your P-neck has a chance to activate, because it can get you down from over 20% of your HP down to 0 HP in one hit. So because of the nature of the beast, the nature of the way the ability works, the first hit, if you remember, is very important, because the first hit deals between 50 and 150% ability damage, and the next few hits, well, any subsequent hit is dependent on the first hit, because it will add 11 to 33% to the first hit. So for example, if my first hit was only 50% of my ability damage, the second hit could possibly only be a minimum of 66%, but the maximum on the flip side is if the first hit was 150% ability damage, the second hit would be 183%. So there's a massive variation, and it turns out after 10 hits or 19 ticks or 11.2 seconds, you will do a minimum of 995%, so almost 10 times your ability damage, and a maximum of 2,895%, so almost 29 times your ability damage. That's a massive variation, as you can see. It's huge, but the average turns out to be around 20 times over 10 hits. Now why is 10 hits so important? 10 hits is the safe threshold. After the 10th hit, you'll start getting hit 1k damage for every hit after the 10th hit on top of the base hit. The way the ability works, I'll talk about that in a bit, but 10 hits is actually the safe threshold, but I've been able to go up to 13 hits. So in the previous P-neck activating section, I managed to go up to 13 hits. I was very, very lucky there that I didn't die and that the P-neck activated, but if you go up to 13 hits, then the maximum damage you can do is 45 times, and the minimum is 13 times. So you can see the difference between the minimum and the maximum between 10 hits and 13 hits is massive. It's 50%, guys. So if you go up to 13 hits, you can do 50% more damage than if you just went up to 10 hits. That is huge, but there's a massive risk that comes with it, of course, as well, and that is death. We've looked at all the percentages. We know what percent of your ability damage is going to be reflected through Onslaught depending on how many hits you do and so on. But now it's actually time for some fun, because we're going to have a look at how much actual damage you can do, not percentages, actual damage. Now, how is this calculated? Well, if you go to combat interface, combat stats, it is this. So ignore everything else, you just go to abilities. It is this number here, 1666. This number is the same if you have maxed combat stats, so 99 mage, ranged, what else, attack and strength, then no matter which tier 90 weapon you use, you will always have 1666 ability damage if you don't have anything else on. So this is with what spell is it? It is Ice Barrage. Now if I took a Nox bow, for example, do I have a Nox bow? There you go. And Araxxi arrows, it will be 1666. If I took dual Drygors, it will be 1666 as well. Now this is normalized depending on, it's normalized, so it doesn't matter what speed of the weapon it is, as long as it's of the same tier. It's all fine, it's all normalized. Now the other stuff that adds on to it, adds on purely, like, there's no formula, it just adds on to it. So for example, if I take my Nox staff again, you'll have Tectonic Mass, Comp Cape, Full Tectonic, Red Boot, Celestial Hand Wraps, Ring of Death, and finally Amulet of Souls. And the overload, this gives 2009, but if I overload up, it will boost my stats by 19, up to from 99 to 118, of course, and that will bring it up to 2081. I believe the max possible is 2083, so that's the basis we're going to use, 2083, because Hellfire Boots give you +2 on top of Virtus Boots. I don't have Hellfire Boots, so I believe that's the maximum possible boost, possibly, or pretty much maximum possible boost, without any scrimshaws and auras and things like that, because they're invisible boosts. Now it's just dropped, you can see 2077 and it went up to 2081 again. That's because my stats dropped by 1. Anyway, I'm rambling. Now if we take 2083 as a base damage and we multiply everything by the percentages you just saw, you will get this. This is the damage variation you get if 100% is 2083. So with 10 hits you get a minimum of 20.7k, that's an absolute minimum, and a maximum of 60k. That is a huge variation, as you can see, and that is only 11.4 seconds, guys. Most people only do like 60k damage with a full sunshine rotation. That's 30 seconds. This is 11.3 seconds. Now, as I talked about earlier, if you manage to risk it for 3 more hits, that is 6 more seconds, you can 3.6 more seconds or 6 more ticks, you can get up to 50% more damage. So at the maximum possible level, it'll be another 34k damage, from 60k to 94k damage. That's if your RNG is good. On average though, it'll be 21k more damage, 21.5k more damage, from 41k to 62k. That is insane, guys. This is why this ability is so good. All you need is 15 seconds, half a sunshine, half the length of a sunshine, and you can do 62k damage if you have 2083 ability damage, as you can see here. Realistically, it's probably going to be lower because you won't be using the maximum possible boost every time, but it could also be higher if you're using, say, a Reckless Aura, a Maniacal Aura, or a Berserker Aura, and you know, Scrimshaw could also boost your damage invisibly and things like that. Those things can boost it, and it's massive. So yeah, that's the damage you deal. The massive variation there, as you can see, from 20.7k to 94k. But then on the flip side, there's the damage you receive. This is why this ability is so dangerous, because if you remember, I mentioned after the 10th hit you will get hit 1k per hit. So you'll get hit 1k for the 11th hit, 2k extra for the 12th hit, and 3k extra for the 13th hit. So you will get hit 6k in total, 3k plus 2k plus 1k, 6k in total between the 10th hit and the 13th hit, on top of what the formula says. So Yeah, that's why in 13 hits on average you'll get hit 19k damage. 19k damage, so you'll need some serious healing to compensate for that and make sure you can get out 13 hits. Realistically, you're going to get out 11 to 12 hits at most. If you're being attacked by a boss, it will be like 10 hits maximum, I think. If you don't have devotion or something, it's going to be even less. But yeah, that's why this ability is so dangerous. I would recommend not going up to 13 hits. As you can see, the maximum possible damage you can take is 25k. That basically means you're going to die since you can't eat. There's only a few things that can stop you from dying, and these are... The Phoenix necklace works, of course. You can wear it at any point during the ability and it will save you if your life points are below 20%. It's a bit risky though. The Immortality and a Silent Life also work, and the Great Gunkan is great to use along with an enhanced Excalibur. You can use the Excalibur at any point, but you have to eat the Gunkan just before you use the ability. And then the Cook Karamwan, I believe, you can eat them at loads at a time, and they only heal 750, but they don't stop the ability from being used. But it's obviously a waste of event space if you bring them, so there's not much use for it in a real PvM scenario. Sunshine does not work with Onslaught, as you can see here, and neither does eating or drinking anything in the middle of it, even an overload, except the stuff I just talked about earlier. You can switch items, but you can't eat or drink anything except Poison Karamwan. And also here I'm trying to use Tsunami with Natural Instinct, and now Tsunami, Meteor Strike or Incendiary Shot all give you plus 10% adrenaline for every crit that you do within 30 seconds after you cast Tsunami. So obviously Onslaught does every hit of Onslaught is a crit pretty much, and as you can see here, that's why it goes down by 15% instead of 25% each time, and because I end up with 10%, I can't take off anymore from that, so it starts draining my HP. Realistically, it's not going to be much use, as you can see, because you still get hit a ton, and in PvM scenarios you're not going to do much DPS if you use Tsunami and stuff, unless you time it perfectly, but still it's not much use in a PvM scenario because of the amount of damage you still get after the 10th hit. And last but certainly not least, guys, the Prism of Loyalty. Now this is a Seren spell which you can unlock after you do the Seren quest. I've got the name of it. You can store HP into it, and then when a nearby player is less than 75% HP, then it will automatically heal them, or so they say. It's not very reliable, but it's possibly the most effective way of extending Onslaught if you know how to use it. So I stored my HP there with Barricade for a little bit of help, so I don't have to waste sharks. And then when I drop below 75k, it should heal me. It's not very reliable because of this. It takes so long for it to heal me. I almost die, and then it heals me, and then I do eventually die. So yeah, it's not very reliable, but you know, it's better than any of the other methods if you know how to use it well. I racked my brains for a while, guys, and these are all the things I found out either by my own experimentation or by looking online that actually work with the Onslaught ability. So you've got the healing stuff at the top, they all work. The Excalibur you can use at any point, but you can only use the foods before, because they've got an overtime healing thing. The Bunyip, of course, as well. The Unicorn doesn't. Cook Karamwan, obviously. There's an interesting item called the Snowy Knight, which you can use on another player to heal 975 HP. It's kind of weird, but if you do want to try it, then go ahead. Interestingly enough, Berserker, Reckless, and Maniacal have their effects active when this ability is running. Vampirism Aura also works. And prayer switching also works, obviously for Araxxi. Switching armor works. I'm not sure about weapons. I'm not sure why I put weapons there, but definitely switching armor like P-Neck works. And you've also got the damage reduction stuffs like Dome Tower Glove special effect and the Leviathan Ring special effect. Also the Saradomin and Zamorak War Priest armor special effect. And finally, you've also got the life-saving stuff. Immortality and Sign of Life works. But for the Ring of Life and the P-Neck to work, you need your HP to be below 10% and below 20% respectively, which may or may not happen, depends how lucky you get. And the stuff that doesn't work, pretty much everything else you can think of. So yeah, that's pretty obvious. Any ability buffs, they do not work either. So Sunshine doesn't stack, Revenge doesn't stack, Anticipate does not reduce the damage you get from this ability. and Soul Split doesn't work. There was a glitch with the Redemption Prayer and Penance Aura when this ability was released, but they fixed that as well. And Healing People doesn't work apart from, as I said, Prism of Loyalty, Ice Asylum, or what's it called? Snowy Night item. Snowy Night in a jar. It's taken us 15 minutes, boys, but we're finally here. Boss reviews, starting with Nex. Now, Trio is never the best time to use the Onslaught, but basically if you're soloing and you're struggling with Blood Phase, Onslaught is awesome, especially if you do a pre-phase snapshot as well, which I didn't manage to record. But Onslaught is awesome at Nex, that's all you need to know. Blood Phase, solo, boom, you're done. You're saved. All your troubles are gone, boys. Probably not the best time to use it in Ice Phase because it means you won't have 100% adrenaline at the start of Zaros, which means you can't ultimate, which means you will probably get a very low XP drop because Zaros is the highest HP phase. So yeah, my verdict for Nex is awesome, go for it, especially with solo Nex, not so much with any other number of people. Har-Aken is possibly the most AFK thing ever with this ability. All you need to do is activate your Constitution Crystal, whack on your Onslaught and AFK for about 20 seconds, maybe even 15, and it will definitely be dead. There's no risk of you dying because of how much HP you have. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Easy life, very, very easy life. Doesn't matter what style you use. Rotza's probably not the best place to be using this ability at, guys, mainly because of how little HP the brothers have, so you can't really use the ability Onslaught to its fullest extent. And you also need to be moving around a lot, and it's also quite risky to stay on low HP. However, having said that, if you are doing a clutch kill, you can guarantee that none of your hits will miss, or pretty much guarantee none of your hits will miss because of that accuracy buff, because it's an ultimate. So that's the only reason I can think of that you might use this ability, but apart from that I would just use ultimates and you know, use proper thresholds and things like that with Death Swiftness and Sunshine. However, as you can see here, the bomb really didn't mess it up, so most times you're probably not going to be wanting to use this, but if you're going for a clutch kill, then yes, that's the only reason I can think of. Onslaught is absolutely fantastic at Araxxi, guys. It really, really is. If you time it well, and if you don't panic, and if you keep your HP high. So all you gotta do, pretty much, is to Devotion, Adren Pot, and then use Onslaught, and then Prayer Switch. Because it does a minimum of 20k damage in 10 hits, it pretty much guarantees that you will kill Araxxi before the acid hits you. So this is my method. Look very carefully. So I use Devotion, I should use a Great Gunkin, and I should use Camelot, but Camelot was on cooldown, and then I use a Dreadport, and I use Onslaught. So from 75 it'll go to 100, and then I'll Onslaught while prayer switching. And you should use it at 30k, not at 25, because if you use it at 25 you will lose out on those 4 hits you can get before it starts draining your HP. So if you use it at 30k it's much better, and that will get you the kill pretty much guaranteed without any troubles whatsoever. So this is a fantastic method to use even if you're a beginner and even if you're an experienced person, because it's just AFK, pretty much AFK. You just got to get the timing right and you'll be absolutely fine. On to the second last boss and my second favourite place to use Onslaught. It is Vorago, guys. This time I'm showing you P2. It's one of the easiest ways to get max XP on P2 without too much skill. I like to use it after every other reflect because it has a 2-minute cooldown. So yeah, risk it a little too much here, but here it is awesome. P3 after the second team split. It's epic if every single DPS and the base tank uses it. You can get it down and before the green bomb even hits. So it's awesome, but the thing is you need to be a bit careful because you won't be able to move, and if you get blue you need to keep your eyes peeled for that. I should probably have been protecting mage in case of the blue. Here as well I should have been protecting mage. P5 it's awesome as after bleeds, basically. After bleeds it's awesome to use if everyone uses it. It's not too much use if just one person uses it, but the big thing about using it at Vorago is because Vorago has such a massive defense, this ability has such high accuracy, well, it gives you an accuracy boost, so overall you have such high high accuracy that it's really effective here, and if everyone uses it except the bomb tank, you can get a massive push. So I can see it having many uses, especially at green bomb in hard mode, and also P5 in hard mode. It can make it a lot easier. So yeah, it's amazing at Vorago. Definitely use it. Stun pull Yakamaru. That's all I have to say, boys. That's all I have to say. Okay, that's not all I have to say. But if you basically get one person to Ice Asylum, everyone else to be ready with 100% adrenaline, the base to stun it, and then everyone onslaught at once, then you can get some serious deeps out, boys. Not even gonna lie here. That's on a normal stun pull. If you're playing the role of the stun DPS on Mirage phase, then make sure you get your partner to Voke it, Devotion, and then Great Gunkin, Adren Pot, and then go ham. Unfortunately, sometimes, more often than not for me, I seem to get the blue, which is yeah, kind of bad RNG, but whatever. And it happens here again, although not in the right time. I get a jellyfish right next to me, which isn't ideal, and my partner doesn't Voke it. But if you do it properly, it can be insane. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video, guys. In my opinion, Onslaught is one of the best abilities in the game. It's certainly the most fun and the most effective, in my opinion, as a DPS. But you got to be careful when you use it. Some might say it's a bit overpowered. It makes for easy DPS, and you don't really need any skill to be able to DPS anymore. But I'd like to think otherwise. It is a bit overpowered. I think they might nerf it slightly in the future. And yeah, happy New Year 2016, guys. I hope you have an amazing year ahead, both in RS and in real life. And hope you enjoy. I'm gonna leave you guys with this amazing clip of my North Stun Pool DPSing with some seriously good RNG.